We have a special guest today named Amy Watts. She is a Western artist. She grew up in Arkansas. She was a reiner. We are very excited to interview her today. She's a very special guest of ours.
Absolutely. Everybody enjoy Amy Watts.
Agriculture,
Western lifestyle,
entrepreneurship,
farm and ranch,
stewardship.
heritage.
All of these are the cornerstones of a way of life that has been built for generations.
The stories and the people are what keeps the traditions alive.
Welcome to the place where it all comes together.
The Grassroots and Grounded Podcast.
Hey guys, we just want to take a second and thank one of our corporate sponsors, Iris Inc Realty, Crawford, Georgia. You know, some leaders in the real estate industry in Oglethorpe County and Northeast Georgia.
Absolutely. They've been salt of the earth. They've opened up their office to us with open arms, and they've been so kind and generous to let us record here.
Absolutely. Every episode of the Grassroots and Grounded podcast is brought to you right here from the Iris Inc Studio in downtown Crawford, Georgia. If you ever get an opportunity to stop right here in Crawford, come in the office, check it out, meet the guys and gals down here, Jessica Arnold, Blake Arnold, just the whole crew.
And it's such a great group of people and real estate agents. They're just wonderful folks.
They have, the interest of their clients always at heart. Those people are not worried about the money. If you ever have a question about real estate or anything in that part of the world, make sure you reach out to Iris Inc Realty. All right, welcome everybody to the Grassroots and Grounded podcast. Today I am very excited to introduce to you our guest, Miss Amy Watts, Western artist, all-around cool person.
Thank you.
Reining horse rider.
In the old days?
Yeah, I think you could still do it.
I could, but my last reining horse is now 25, so.
There's a chance. There's a chance
we could get back in it. Who knows?
There you go.
Put some shoes back on her.
And for everybody watching, we're always, Amy's always looking over us with her artwork. Yeah, she's got her sticker on today. Miss Amy did do our artwork for the Grassroots and Grounded podcast, and we are so excited to have had her do that. But we just want to welcome you, Amy, and we want you to start out. Give us a little bit of Amy history.
Oh.
Give us some Amy history. Tell us how we got the Amy Watts we have today.
Do I have to say everything? Can I?
You don't have to say everything.
Because I don't want.
No, you can leave out.
I don't want y'all to know everything because you won't like me anymore.
Oh, whatever.
No.
But there's no way you could tell me anything that would make me not like you, Amy. But no, give us the childhood rundown through adult life. Tell us how we got here today to meet Amy Watts.
Okay. I was actually born in Arkansas, which is where my family is from way back. Like, I don't even know how many generations back, but my family tree, it's all Arkansas, Arkansas, Arkansas. Now, I will say I did have a grandmother who was from Death Valley, California. Mm-hmm. So my grandfather, when he was 18, hitchhiked from Arkansas to California.
Wow.
And because he wanted to play baseball. And he met her. She was an athlete. She went to UCLA and golfed, and she was also a horsewoman. So he met her, and they got married, and they both worked for Technicolor. And my mom and her brother were born in Hollywood. In fact, my mom had Roy Rogers and Dale Evans for her Sunday school teachers.
How fun.
But anyway, unfortunately, my mother's mother passed away from breast cancer when she was 34. So my mom actually has a very interesting story of being not an orphan, but her dad was working. And so she and her brother were put in kind of an orphanage, and their dad worked at the orphanage. And finally, they're like, forget this, we're moving to Arkansas. So when she was 10, she moved to Arkansas and met my dad there. So they got married and had me, and I have 3 sisters. But when I was young, we moved to Nebraska, which I think I was 2. So I don't have any memories of living in Arkansas, but my grandparents lived there. So all my childhood summers were spent in Arkansas. In Nebraska, grew up, wonderful childhood. All my really good friends, for the most part, are from Nebraska. And I grew up around the stockyards. We play soccer and hear the cows mooing and smell the stockyards. And so from a very young age, I was a horse girl, born a horse girl. My parents did not have horses. I just was one of those girls that was born reading, Misty of Chincoteague and, the Black Stallion and My Friend Flicka. And I had the Breyer horse models and went to horse camp. And my grandparents did have horses, but we did not live there. So that was a big draw for me to go visit them. I'm sure that's why they kept them, so that we'd come visit. But grew up until I was 15 in Nebraska, and then they dropped the bomb. We're moving to Georgia. And my sisters and I were devastated. We were, what? Why? I cried for 3 years, when I moved here. We were among the first wave of people that moved to Gwinnett County.
Okay.
And at the time, it was nothing like it is now. In fact, there was no mall, nothing like that. It was, we used to go to Roswell to shop. Or we go to downtown Lawrenceville and go to the square and buy clothes and such. But there was nothing like it is now. But it was like bursting at the seams. Like the school bus, we would have like 3 and 4 to a seat. And my sisters and I were literally miserable. I mean, we just couldn't stand school. I was always like, I would cry if I was sick for school, because I didn't want to miss school or my friends. Here, I was like, ugh, I just dreaded it. Anyway, long story short, I'm still here, so it must not have been too terrible. After a while, I guess it was probably my senior year, I started making some good friends and figuring out where I fit in. But still, the horse thing was not part of my life, just because I didn't have opportunity at all. But my grandparents, they had 3 quarter horses, and I'd go out there and we'd trail ride. And
where did they live?
In Arkansas.
Okay.
They lived in a town called Bauxite, which is the aluminum ore capital of the world, I guess.
Okay.
It's the only deposit of aluminum ore in North America. So my grandfathers and great-grandfathers were miners, and they worked underground. And they were also all farmers. I mean, they all worked from sun up to sundown, used mules and plowed and everything. But my great-grandfather, actually, his career was training and providing horses and mules for the mines. So these horses worked underground. So I think I get it maybe from him. And I had an uncle that had a covered wagon, and he would go out on the, how Arkansas has all that chuck wagon stuff, and they go out on these long trail rides because there's so many country roads. I mean, just you could go for days and not see traffic. So I grew up riding my grandparents' horses, but still I knew, I'm going to have a horse of my own. My grandfather, when I went to school, gave me a saddle, and he said, never sell your saddle, never get rid of this saddle. And someday you'll have a horse, because he knew that was my goal. So stop me if I'm talking.
Do you
too
still
much.
have the saddle?
Okay, that is a whole other story. So I will tell you if you want me to.
Yeah, oh yeah, absolutely.
So it was actually, the saddle was made in Benton, Arkansas by someone in Arkansas. It was a rustic old saddle, but a good sturdy saddle. And it said Nally, Benton, Arkansas on the horn. Anyway, so when I got out of college, I saved my money and I bought my first horse. And it was a huge deal for me. I mean, this was the dream of my life. And it was a Zanparbar gelding. Looked like Zanparbar, he was a big chestnut. But I wanted to do reining. That was what I always followed, in the quarter horse journals. And, I just was intrigued by that horsemanship. How do you teach the horse to do that? So I get the Zanparbar gelding, who is not that talented, and he's kind of light in the brain, actually. But anyway,
That's the nicest way I've ever heard somebody put that.
Yeah. But he would, we were probably a bad combination because, I had never saddle broken a horse either. But I did it. He was too.
Yeah.
He was too. I couldn't afford, anything. So I bought something that wasn't broke, and he taught me a lot. But I also, broke ribs and things like that. And many patterns that we did, he would run through the bridle and try and run out of the arena and scare me half to death. But like I said, he taught me what I didn't want more than what I, wanted.
Sure.
But in through all that, I knew I needed a different saddle because this was a rope saddle and it was rough. And if you're going to show in reining, you need kind of a nicer saddle, which I had to sell that saddle to get the saddle I wanted. So
you traded it. You didn't necessarily get rid of it. You traded it.
The minute I did it, I regretted it. I was like, my grandpa gave me that saddle. I should have figured out how that I could keep that saddle. But, in the end, unfortunately, in 1997, the barn where I was working, because I ended up working at the barn to pay my board. And then I ended up just saying, this is what I want to do. I want to learn how to train horses. And I got really good at saddle breaking. I was like in my 20s, but I started saddle breaking, and, I was young enough that, I could stay on. And that's what I did for many years. I saddle broke any kind of horse you could bring. Tennessee Walkers, Warm Bloods. It was an Alpharetta, which there's so many horses there.
Horses. Yeah.
Anyway, our barn burned in 1997, and we lost 30 horses, including mine, but not the Zanpar bar.
Right.
I actually had bought, his name was Doc. I had sold Doc, and I had bought his sister, and her name was Xana, and I've got some names that y'all are gonna recognize. Xana was she was much calmer than Doc, but she wasn't really all that talented. But she was very broke. And Amy Crowder, is that a name y'all know?
That sounds familiar.
Melissa and Amy Crowder?
Okay, yeah,
Bill
Melissa.
Crowder?
There you go. I know.
Okay,
Melissa.
well, I used to help them with their horses. Like, I would get their horses ready for rodeos, and Amy always wanted her horse's mane pulled. And to me, that was like sacrilegious, because reining horses have the mane. But I'd pull her, she had a Palomino, pull her horse's mane for her and stuff. But
Now they're out of Alabama, right?
no, they're from Alpharetta.
Alpharetta.
Mhm.
Okay.
They put on the rodeo in, I guess, Circle C Rodeo.
Okay.
No, actually, her dad was Charlie. No, yeah, Charlie, and her uncle was Bill, and he was a
Okay.
farrier and a bull rider. And but anyway, she borrowed Xana that night of the fire to do a rodeo queen contest, because she was coming to me to help her with her horsemanship, and her horse was it was a typical of those days barrel horse. I mean, you head in the air,
Yeah.
So I was like, just take Xana. And that night, I did have another horse that was in the barn, but that night the barn burned. So Xana was the only survivor. And the part about that with the saddle is my new reining saddle got burned up in the fire. So actually, the Crowders actually bought me a saddle. It was they were so nice to me. They actually took Xana and kept her for me until we found a new barn and got started all over again. But
did they ever figure out what started the barn fire?
nothing was insured, so they didn't go to too great of lengths. But the theory was it was a chicken house that had been jacked up, and so there was it was really long, and it had 30 stalls, and then it had a connecting building, and then there was another chicken house that we used for an indoor arena. And in the blizzard of '94, I don't know if y'all remember that.
Oh yeah.
That arena collapsed because of the weight of the snow. And I was in the barn, and the whole barn was just covered in dust. But anyway, so that was gone. But because it was old, they think it was just a wiring thing. So that was among the most traumatic events of my life.
yeah.
I no longer had any horses to take care of, except Xana. But anyway, but I thought to myself, I lost my saddle, but Akey's saddle is still somewhere out there in the world. If I had kept it, it would still be, it would be gone. So have y'all ever heard of Hamp Phillips by any chance?
Oh yeah, Hamps.
Yeah.
Because Lauren, my wife grew up in Canton.
Okay, well,
And
she
so-
ran in the circles with me. Then.
That's where some of those names are familiar. And we used to, when we were dating, we used to go up there, and that was always a trip we'd make, was over to Hamps when he still had that place.
Well, Hamps was really within walking distance of our farm. After the barn burned, we actually met some
It's a tax
rich
store.
business people who invested in us, and we started it was called Rain Check, and it was like the only Western barn in Alpharetta, but we had a covered arena and a brand new barn. It was so nice. But Hamps was within walking distance of there. So fast forward several years, and I was in Hamps, and there's this stack of saddles to the ceiling. And he was a wheeler dealer. He would.
Oh, there was just, you'd
was
have
gonna
to
get-
describe it. It was like going to a tack yard sale.
Yes.
Is kind of the best way. Is that?
And there were just several old trailers, and they were just crammed. Just random.
Storage containers.
You could
little
find
buildings.
anything.
Oh,
Potentially anything.
and he could tell you where anything was.
Yes.
He could say, "Hey, I need a such and such, and he'd go dig through some stuff, and here he'd come with it.
Yep. And he was going to get the better end of
Every time.
of any of that. So anyway, so this big, tall, I always looked at the saddles because who knows what you might see.
Sure.
Big, tall stack of saddles, and I saw Nally, Benton, Arkansas. So I grabbed a hold of that stack, and I pulled, the whole thing fell down, and it was my grandpa's saddle.
Wow.
No.
It was at Hamps. And I was like, how much do you want for this saddle? And I would have paid whatever.
Yeah.
I think he wanted $150 for it. The only bad thing is there were no fenders on it. So, but anyway, it was sitting, in my tack room. I'm never going to get rid of it. Well, a friend of mine, his name's Jerry Parker. He's a real Cowboys cutting horse guy. He's an excellent horseman. And he's a bluegrass player. He's so cool. But anyway, he took that saddle and put fenders and redid it all. And he came back and he saddled up one of our horses, and he was leads the horse out, he's going to ride, and he's trying to see if I notice.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And it was all fixed up. So we now have that in our saddle string.
Moment, yeah.
But yeah, so I guess, after the barn burn, we got started with rain check and still doing a lot of saddle breaking, but it became more of a reining barn. And I'd always done reining, but we had really taken whatever, just to make things go. People would bring 17-hand warm bloods and things like that to saddle break. A lot of Tennessee walking horses, a lot of Arabians. But it became, people knew the bloodlines and were starting to bring us some really nice reining horses to ride. And we had quite a barn of youth and mostly women, but some men that we'd go to the shows. And the main trainer was Richard Wheatley, and he passed away during COVID. He had, emphysema or COPD. So COVID didn't do well with him. Those kind of people were sitting ducks for COVID. But he was really good. He was a real gruff old cowboy, but he was really good with women. Like, he would put everybody in their place. You know how horse women are. We're going to get this supplement and that supplement.
No, Amy, tell us how it works.
And we're going to shoe my horse this way, and and Richard be like, no, that's not what we're doing. We're feeding this, and you're not going to be here when we shoe. And, he had a line out the door of people wanting to be at his barn because he took such good care of the horses. So anyway, when I met James I think it was 2008, I met him at a cow pasture. And he's from New Mexico and was working the oil field in Alaska, which is so random. I mean, why are you here? What are you doing here? But he and I met out in a cow pasture. A friend of ours was gathering his cows out in Ducktown. You know Ducktown?
Mm-hmm.
Same area, Ball Ground and Birmingham Highway and all that. Anyway, I just thought it was extremely interesting, and, the rest is history with James and I. But he was moving out here. He had found a place out here. And I was like, well, if I'm going to stay with James, I'm going to have to leave rain check and, all the kids. And so it was traumatizing. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when I've moved here, I've made new friends. And the kids are now grown, a lot of them, but they're still in my life. Most of them are still in my life. So.
Well, that's how we met. Was Anna Hitchborn was.
Yeah, she was Georgia. One of the kids.
She was one of your kids from up there, and she came to college and was in college with me, and so we got to know you.
That's right, right away.
During college, before you actually moved down here.
We had a lot of fun when y'all were in college. I mean,
we did.
My social life was through the roof.
The concerts were way better then than I feel like they are now. Ragweed came to Athens twice a year.
Yeah, Willie
Nelson. You were telling me about seeing Willie Nelson.
Willie was there
classic.
in Athens.
Randy Rogers was always here.
Yeah,
and they were, the cool thing about those concerts back then was it wasn't as popular. That Texas Red Dirt thing wasn't as popular as it is now, and so you could get front row seats and just be.
It's funny, I hope Cody Canada doesn't listen to this, but after Cross Canadian Ragweed broke up, he made another band, Cody Canada and the Departed, and James and I went, and it was at 40 Watt, and there was nobody there. I mean, and he got mad. He was mad. Like, I could tell it irritated him. The situation irritated him.
Right.
So I was like, he's never coming back. He's never coming back to Athens.
Because they got to be where, by the end of Ragweed, before they broke up, I mean, it would be a sold-out show.
Yeah,
the Georgia Theater.
Well, and then they were here recently.
At Aikens, yeah.
Did you go?
We did.
I wanted to go, but it was like $300 or something. Like,
We must have, my sister and them, they were on the ball on getting tickets first thing.
Okay, there you go. Well, so when I moved here, I was more, you knew me, I was more still saddle breaking. Mm-hmm. I got with Tommy Hill. He saw me from a mile away, and he would get me to ride the horses he'd buy, and I enjoyed that, spending time. And I just got involved more with the roping people, because there's more ropers out here than anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, the reiners were, almost non-existent in this area. So, but I was ready to just do my own thing and not have that every day, cleaning stalls, feeding horses 7 days a week, But another thing, I know, we've gotten a little off track, probably because I'm more known as an artist. That happened was...
We were going to get around to that.
Yeah. Well, James, being from New Mexico, my husband James, I would just paint for fun. I never painted for money or to make, do anything, enter shows, anything like that. But occasionally somebody would be like, will you paint? a bulletin for our church, or will you, paint my dog who passed away? So James actually I should tell this part. In 2005, I went to Montana. I've always been a Western history buff, reading Western history. Anything to do with horses I've always been interested in. And to me, Western history was written with horses. So I was a big Lewis and Clark fan, Kit Carson, Quanah Parker. But James is a big history person too. And he's from New Mexico, where he had a lot of contact with Native American art. He worked at trading posts, and he's something of an expert on rugs and pottery. If he sees a Navajo rug, he'll be able to tell you where it came from, what trading post. Or so when he saw the paintings, when I went to Montana, I had been showing extensively, and the horse was I started getting really competitive. I had a really nice black stallion that I didn't get along with, and I was he didn't like me, I didn't like him. We didn't. We in the show, he would not lope off. I'd walk in to lope, and he wouldn't lope off. So I was discouraged. I went to Montana, and I was on a ranch. It's called Horse Prairie Ranch, and it's the place where Lewis and Clark got off the river and traded for horses. They thought they could take the water all the way to the ocean, but they realized they couldn't. Mm-hmm. So they traded for horses, and they rode, and Sacagawea was their translator, the Native American woman who was the translator. Wow. Anyway, the horse they gave me to ride while I was there was named Sacagawea. And they said, we're giving her to you because nobody else can get a bridle on her. She's scared to death. She won't take a right lead, I think it was. So she had a big mark on her face where somebody had hit her. There was a big scar and a lump, and so she was real head shy. So I would take the bridle apart and put it on her. Well, by the end of the thing, I'm braiding feathers in her mane and giving her fig Newtons, and I'm this is what being a horse girl is. It's not going and winning the money and the buckle and all that. To me, I had forgotten a little bit of what it was to love a horse and to have that relationship.
It had become work.
Yeah, and it was stressful. But this horse was giving me herself. Okay, so when I got home, I did a painting, and it's called Sacagawea's Horse. And it's what I imagined a relationship she may have had with her horse. There's no reference to her liking horses or anything, but I'll send you the picture of the painting. Okay. Actually, I'll never sell it. It's in my bedroom, because that was when I started painting intentionally. I told a story with that painting, and James was like, you have to start painting. And we're going to take your paintings to New Mexico next time we go, and we're going to show them.
Hey guys, another one of our corporate sponsors, Courtney Hunter Ariola. When you talk about a realtor in the Morgan County, Oconee County, that just south of Athens market, she is your go-to girl. Trustworthy, she's knowledgeable, she knows everything, she can help you with anything. She specializes in land and farms. She's with the Keller Williams Lake Oconee team, Miss Rhonda Smith. And if you need a really good real estate agent to guide you through the whole process, whether you're buying or selling, make sure you call Courtney Hunter Ariola. So had you done art growing up? I mean, were you artistic growing up? Did you always draw and doodle? And
Yes, and my mom always said, I never worry about Amy because she's always drawing. She's never out. I mean, I played outside stuff, but I was never doing anything, I was never bored, never bored. I was always trying different materials, watercolor, pastel. I was always drawing horses, trying to perfect, how do I draw a horse? And dogs, I love to draw dogs. And I was always the best artist in the class, and, all that. But then when you get older, you start being around other artists, you're like, you know what, you're not that great. I mean, you're good, but, you go to art school and you're just one of thousands.
Isn't that everything, though? That's not just art. I mean, you can feel like a big fish until all of a sudden they catch you and put you in a different lake, right?
Exactly. And I actually started out, I went to a couple different schools, but I went to Auburn, and I had switched from English to art. And Auburn was a strange experience for me. I love Auburn, but I wished I'd been in the agriculture, because I would have fit right in. I just didn't fit in, because the artists are all trying so hard to be different.
Yeah. They're trying to be something.
Like they had in this window, it said, "We hate football." Like they painted in the window, a giant W, giant E, right out. That art school is right on the main drag, like right Toomer's Corner, where they, throw the toilet paper.
Right.
I just didn't fit in. And everybody's in a sorority, and, I just did not fit in. So I ended up switching to Atlanta College of Art, which I didn't really fit in there either, but it was such a good experience just because there were people from all over the world, and everybody was just completely different. No one was trying to be the same. Everyone was just completely different.
Anytime you can get away from Auburn, I feel like
Sorry about that, guys.
go Dogs. But
Auburn is. I have a hat that says Cow College, and it's one of my
Cow
favorite
College.
hats
College.
because they do have really good
they do.
They have a great
agriculture
program.
and their Raptor program is really cool. Like two of my sisters went to Auburn. My sister was roommates with someone who worked in their Raptor program where they rescue the eagles and hawks and stuff. And so my sister always had owls and things living with her. And she's not an animal person at all. You would never know I was related to my older sister. But anyway, so I went to Atlanta College of Art, and that was at the time it was in the Woodruff Art Center, which is where the High Museum is, and the Symphony and the Alliance. So you're going to school and you're riding these elevators up with all these people in tuxedos, and then there would be nude models wearing a robe, Very unique experience. People from the city. I've never been to the city, and I spent 2 years walking around the city and just exploring it. And it's not for me at all, but at the same time, I kind of needed that experience, having contact with people who are influenced by so many different things. And there have been some artists that I went to school with that are very well known. There's one called Kara Walker who was in a lot of my classes, and you can look her up. She's one of the most famous African-American living artists now. So anyway, that was that. And then when I got out of school, you have a degree. And I think my degree was in illustration. It wasn't in painting. I did figure drawing and things like that, but I didn't delve into the fine art part because my idea was I was going to write and illustrate children's books. That was because I could write too. I like to write. So I got a job. My first job was drawing snapper lawnmowers. And it was in downtown Atlanta, and I was so depressed.
Okay, you're gonna have to tell me why were you drawing snapper lawnmowers?
Because that was the job I got. It was
but was it for their advertising?
Yes.
It was for their advertising?
Yes, and this was before computers. Keep in mind, I went to college before computers.
Okay.
So when we did typography, we drew it, or we had to send it away to get printed. And then you'd go get it, and you would cut it out, and you'd have to have rulers. So totally non-computer oriented art. And one of my first freelance things was, this really damaged me. And this is really what sent me to the barn. Some lady hired me this is gonna sound funny to y'all because you're so used to computer stuff, but they were selling wheels for cars. So she wanted me to draw all these different cars and then all these different wheels, and so that they could take the wheels and place them on the cars so that you could tell what they looked like.
Oh, okay.
Okay, now keep in mind, I did do some drafting and things like that, but that was not my deal. I like to draw, woodland animals and, talking
There was nothing
dogs.
adventurous about it.
No.
Yeah.
So I did it, and I worked so hard on it. I was just so stressed because I wanted it to be perfect, And I was proud of what I did, and she liked it, but yet when I told her how much, she snapped at me, and it just sent me into the basement. I'm like, I can't do this. I can't do this. And that's part of being an artist, is being judged by your work plus your price range. And it's so hard, because you're like, I don't know what to charge. I want to make money, but I don't want people to shout at me and say, it's not worth that. So I quit doing art pretty much after that. I hate to say that, but I did spend some time working the church I was going to at the time needed help with their youth program, and they offered to pay me. And it was like, $1,000 a month. So I did that, and then I was working at the barn. And then eventually I was just working at the barn. So that's where the barn took over my life. And I didn't paint at all for many years. But then the Sacagawea experience happened. I went in 2005. And after that I started painting, just stacking up paintings, hanging them on my wall of different history stories that inspired me. And when I met James, he's the one who said, no, we're going to take these to a gallery. So at that time, he bought me a laptop. I finally had a computer, so I had the pictures of my paintings. And we went to Santa Fe, and most people don't skip all the steps like I did. We went to Santa Fe and walked in a gallery. I don't know if y'all been to Santa Fe.
I haven't. No.
Please go, y'all.
I know your mother-in-law, she loves.
Oh yeah,
Please,
my
that's
in-laws
crazy.
go all the time. Yeah.
You guys are crazy, especially you, because
Oh, I'm
I mean,
sure I would
women
love
go
it.
nuts with the jewelry and everything. It's
My
wonderful.
mother-in-law.
And
I
that
tell
where
her-
she goes? Is it
Oh,
Santa Fe?
she has there. It's a lot of money's worth of jewelry according to her, but I tell her I'm going to sell it at a yard sale when she croaks, so she better leave it to me because I'm going to
Yeah,
get
no.
a piece for her.
She's got good taste.
Oh, she's got.
Every time I see her, I'm like, you look so beautiful.
She's
Dripping in
turquoise.
Okay,
yeah.
but another thing about it
It's
is
really
the
cool. I have a
tack.
hard time about it.
You know, like they have pawn shops in New Mexico where the main, you know, here it's mainly chainsaws and shotguns. In New Mexico, it's saddles and bits and jewelry.
Mm-hmm.
So you go in a pawn shop and it's like your wildest dreams. I mean,
Really?
spurs and leather work and Navajo rugs and art. And it's just very craftsmanship, art oriented. I just love it. And the history there.
Very artistic
But anyway,
culture.
yeah, we went in this gallery, first gallery we went in, and it was really random. And now I'm trying to remember, were they Seventh-day Adventist or Jehovah's Witness? They were one or the other, which was kind of weird, but they immediately wanted me to send paintings. Like, yes, I showed her my paintings, and she said, send me 3. Send me 3 and I will hang them.
Now
And-
tell me how this works. Is this just a display or is
It's
this
a gallery.
They're for sale?
Yes, and they
Okay.
get a commission, and
And they price them, you price them. I don't understand this world.
It's tough because, you know, a gallery owner has to pay the rent and make money themselves, you know, and they're relying on, you know, a lot of different things. Most tourists are not going to buy a painting when they come. They're, you know, the people that are going to buy are going to be people that are decorating or, you know, like if you know, had a hotel or, but okay, you know, you will sell some off the street, but it's a lot of pressure. But the gallery gets 50%. So if I have a painting I want 1,000 for, they're going to charge 2,000. So, you know, immediately the person who's going to have $1,000 isn't going to be able to buy your painting. So I've learned, and COVID really gave me a reality check. Not that I don't feel honored to be in a gallery, but it's easier to sell it on your own. You know, you
Well,
have to
in today's-
ship it and
well,
box it and.
Today's world of online. I mean, you can, yeah.
And Facebook is actually the best. I had a website, and it was mainly an avenue for people to scam you. They'd be like, I want one of your paintings, and, you know, what I'm going to do is I'm going to send you, and it would be so confusing, and, you know, it's like they're trying to get you to send them money to give you their, you're like, wait a minute, what? Why would I send you money? So I got rid of my website and just use Facebook, actually. It's the most, because you know, I have friends that are everywhere. And then, you know, I mean, I don't know. It's been very profitable for me.
So
to
do you
use
feel like your
Facebook.
deal has been intentional or organic?
Much organic.
Yeah.
And I feel very fortunate. Now, definitely James is going to have to keep working. He can't retire yet, bless his heart. But the Santa Fe Art Collector was what it's called. They sold a lot of my paintings. It was crazy. I mean, they were like very good at selling my paintings. But I met next door to Santa Fe Art Collector was Due West Gallery, which is owned by Tom Ross, who is one of my really good friends now. He came to my opening, and then he was like, come over to my gallery. But he's Western history painter, and he's contemporary, and he has pieces in the Booth Museum. And he's friends with all these historians, and like Bob Bosbell, who's the editor of True West magazine. I mean, like through Tom, meeting people that were friends with him. Now, whenever I watch a documentary on PBS, I know the people that are on there. You know, like the experts on Geronimo, you know, or, you know, like the PBS special on the West. The historians that are on there, a lot of them I've met. So I am so grateful to have met Tom. And he invited me to be in his gallery, which was a better fit for me. But people don't quite understand, like, there would be all these historians in Tom's gallery giving a speech, and people would just walk by. You know what I mean? Because they're more like, you know, oh, trinkets, oh.
Mm-hmm.
So he wasn't appreciated like he should have been in that setting. But I wouldn't trade it for the world, like, because through Tom, I've had so many great experiences. But he's also the one who said, you need to get with the Booth Museum. It's in Georgia. Well,
Sure.
You know, you need to get with them. So Seth, who was the director at the time, he arranged for me to meet Seth. And through Seth, I got invited to do my own show at the booth. Seth came out to the farm, and I was so intimidated because, you know, I went from, you know, having a piece hanging in Watkinsville to, you know, at the Booth Museum, which is one of the voted the best Western museum in the country. He said, I want to come see your studio. And I'm like, this was probably in 2011. I was like, I don't have a studio. I paint in the garage. And he's like, I want to come see it. And I was like, are you sure? And he's like, yes, I'm coming. So he came, walked around, looked at my paintings. I said, do you want to ride? And he's like, I don't like horses. I was like, you don't like horses?
How do you run the Western Museum?
Well, he said, I like paintings of horses.
Okay, fair enough.
Anyway, when he left, he said, would you like to do a show at the booth? When he left, I was running up and down the driveway screaming. The animals thought I was crazy. I was so happy. But another cool thing is the booth is named after Samuel Booth, who is from Statham. And my property is on Booth Road. And the Booth Cemetery is like a quarter mile from my house, and Samuel Booth is buried there. So I actually took Seth over there. So that's kind of cool. He was the financial advisor to John Osher, who's the owner of the booth. He just passed away like a month ago. And he was a philanthropist and an amazing human being. He shared what he had with everyone. Like his art collection is the Booth Museum. You know, he took it next level.
So it started as a private deal.
Yes, it was his private collection, and Samuel Booth was his financial advisor, and he said, you need to share your art collection. And so they built the booth. Now he has the Savoy, which is an automotive museum, the Tellus, which is a science museum. So he started those 3 museums. They're all in Cartersville. So the booth has been a real blessing for me. I've been very involved there. And through the booth, I got invited to Cowgirl Up, which is in Wickenburg, Arizona, which I know y'all love Wickenburg. Yeah. Have you been?
I haven't.
You need to get out more, guys.
I know.
Have you heard this? No, I've always wanted to go, but
y'all would freak out.
Yeah.
Because when we got there,
Team Urban World,
and there were barrel racers there, like with famous barrel racers while I was there. You drive in and it's just one pin after another of Corriente cows along the road, you know, just like, and roping going on all the time. But they have a museum there, and now they've changed the name of it, and I'm not going to be able to remember. It used to be the Desert Caballeros. They changed the name of the museum, but they host Cowgirl Up, which is an invitational for 50 of the top, they call top female Western artists. So I got invited there for 3 different years, and I entered again this year. After you get invited and then you don't get invited, then you have to enter if you want to. But it's been since 2000, it's been 10 years. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to give it another try. So Cowgirl Up, you know, gets your name out there and, you know, gets interest in your art. And I've always sold at Cowgirl Up, so it's been very beneficial to me. So, I mean, that's where I'm at now. I'm still, I mean, the cow thing probably takes up more of my time than anything these days.
You're all the time posting about being at the cow patty.
Yeah, the cow patty. That's my quiet place, my peaceful place. And I tell James it's like, we lease that. We lease the acreage. It's an arcade. And I tell James it's like I have my own private national park. I just
Well, I remember
have it to myself.
It's one of my fondest memories, but it's kind of like a lot of memories that sometimes you have. It's fond because you don't ever want to have to repeat it. And not because I wasn't honored, but Amy and James asked me to sing at their wedding.
Oh, wow.
He was the main entertainment.
And,
you didn't know that?
Played
You
guitar,
didn't know
sang.
that?
I did not know that.
Are you serious?
She asked me. I don't much anymore. In college, every time we had anything, a guitar
any
got broken.
bonfire, here's
And
James'
we-
guitar.
And they asked me to sing at their wedding. And I had sang at several. I'm not the kind of person that gets nervous in public. Like I clown rodeos, I do speeches, I do auction. I mean, public does not make me nervous. Amy asked me to sing a John Denver song,
Which you didn't know.
which I did not know,
Which was criminal.
which is fair. And it was Annie's song.
Do you know that song?
I
Courtney?
do not.
And
Okay,
go
well,
listen
that's
to
your
it.
homework.
And as you listen to it, if you're musical at all, you will understand
It's
how difficult that song. I can't remember now. I'd have to go back and look. There's like 9 or 10 different chords in this song.
wow.
Most songs have 3.
I apologize. I didn't know it was hard.
And I learned, and I was so nervous. And there was, I've never been so nervous. There was, how many people were at your wedding?
I have
50
no idea.
people?
The church was pretty full, but it was a small church.
Maybe more. Yeah, 50 to 100 people.
Yeah.
I can't. My memory's bad, but it was.
Well,
it
how'd they
wasn't
know?
thousands.
No, it wasn't.
You have to ask
It
Amy
was
how
an
it went.
intimate setting, okay?
You have to ask Amy how it went, but I
It was
was
more like a party, but you did great.
She couldn't. I don't know if she could tell, but I'm talking about. I had
Were you sweating?
I had
I
sweat
could not
beads the
tell.
size of that coffee cup.
I was
running down
probably
my
more
neck.
nervous than you were. I don't like that kind of, I like attention to some degree, but I don't like that kind of attention like being a bride or whatever.
Right.
I was
Kind
much.
of, ugh.
I was much more comfortable when we got back to the
And the beer was
reception,
flowing.
and we're playing around the bonfire.
Yeah.
I'm playing Skinnerd.
Yeah, there you go. Play whatever you want. Well, but now hopefully you understand and appreciate the song.
Oh,
now.
I do. Every time I've ever heard it, I thank Amy Watts and
Yeah.
a lot of music. And that's what, when we got ready to do this podcast, the first phone call, I told Courtney this. I said, I know the first phone call we're making.
One of our sponsors is Jake Willcox. He is with Iris Inc Realty. He is right here in Oglethorpe County, and anything from farms and land, horse farms, cattle farms, a little bit of residential, a little bit of commercial, anything like that. He's a hardworking guy. He's trustworthy and will do a great job for you.
And she said, what's that? I said, I'm calling Amy Watts, and she's going to make us a cool cover picture.
Yeah.
And I just started texting Amy, and she was like, well, give me some inspiration. And the only inspiration I sent Amy to get the picture I told her kind of what the podcast was hopefully going to be about, because at the time we didn't know. And I sent her, what's the song? The Tedeschi truck driver song, Angel from Montgomery.
Yes.
I said the line where she says, make me like a poster from an old rodeo.
I love that.
sent her
Send
that.
you the painting I did?
You did.
Okay.
And because you'd done an Angel from Montgomery painting.
Somebody asked me to do an Angel from Montgomery painting.
And so I sent her that song. I said that's the only inspiration I've got for you. Past that, you're on your own.
No, and that was perfect.
And 2 days later, Amy sends me the drawing.
Yeah,
You know,
that's
the pencil sketch.
Yeah.
And
I knew exactly what you were saying because that inspires me as well.
Yeah.
So.
And I like to call myself a little artistic. I'm nowhere near on your level. I can't draw.
You're an art appreciator.
I am. I'm very appreciative of fine
It's
art.
amazing.
It takes art appreciators in the world.
But something that was interesting when we were going through that process that I want you to talk about, and I think Courtney probably has some questions about this too. Like, so you sent me the pencil drawing, and you were like, "Well, how do you want it in color?" And I said, "I have no idea." I said, "Do whatever you want." And you're like, "No, give me some direction." So I did what people do now, and I plugged it into an AI. And said, give me a color, give me a brand, and I sent you back some copies of it. And I was so nervous to send you that because I didn't want you to ever think that I was like diminishing your art by putting it into, and I think I even asked you, is this sacrilegious that I put this into AI? And you said, kind of, but I appreciate the direction. And so we came up with what we now have, which is
A sepia.
Yeah, and is that what that's called?
Sepia tone, yeah.
And so
like a tintype, like an old fashioned.
and I love it. I
love it.
When you sent me back after you had done it, I took the AI pictures that I had sent you for our inspiration thing that don't hold the bright. Don't hold a spotlight, much less a candle, to your version. And I showed people that, because a lot of people now, and especially like in our world, a lot of people use a lot of AI for stuff. I mean, and everybody gets to where they lean on it. I mean, you can't. My dad gets upset because he said we used to have good arguments. He said now people don't argue; they just get the answer on Google. And
That's right.
We used to build fence all day long and argue about whether now if the moon was to blow up tomorrow. Would you hear the sound first, or would you see the moon go away first? I mean, that's kind of crap we used to
I hadn't really thought about
Exactly. And you would think the fence building crew would not be talking about such deep subjects,
No,
right?
I would assume they were.
But we would talk about stuff, and he's like, I hate it because now everybody just Googles it. But I guess what I want you to talk about is how have you seen, since you were on the forefront of art and all this, how do you see that changing with some of this AI stuff?
I would say that I think eventually it's not going to affect art just because I think people know when something is art and when it's not. I think art has a soul to it. Mm-hmm. And if people can't see that, then I don't want to live in that world.
Well, then is it really art? I mean,
Yeah, I don't think it is, honestly. And there is a lot of that going on. Like a lot of artists things I follow will be like, what do you think of my painting? And they'll be like, you did that on the computer, didn't you? And they're like, yeah, but that's still a painting. I still had to pick the colors and all that. I'm like, no, I don't agree.
I think you'll find, though, that more people find value in the authentic, real, because everything is so AI now.
Absolutely. And just to see a brush stroke or a pencil mark or the imperfection. I do want to tell y'all about when I did the artwork for y'all. The timing on that was terrible for me because I got hit with 3 bulging discs and the worst sciatica. I've never had sciatica. I didn't know what was happening. Okay, I'm changing the subject a little bit, but James was leaving to go to work. He leaves at like 3 a.m. The shuttle or the bus, whatever you call it, picks him up at our driveway. So I'm going to walk him out, and I just went down on my knees. I couldn't walk. And he's like, I'm not going. I'm like, James, you have to go to work. I will call my parents. So anyway, my parents, who are, in their 80s, took me to Piedmont in Athens, and I was there for hours, sobbing. I was in so much pain. I couldn't sit. I was standing with my hands on the chair, facing the seat of the chair, just crying. And they didn't do anything for me. But what it was I had sciatica. And it felt like someone took a blowtorch to my knee. I mean, it was pain. Like, I've broken many things. Can't even compare. So during the time, people would like, you can't do art. You can't sit and bend over your paintings or anything. And I'd be sneaking and working on that drawing. And I did like make my table higher, and I sort of stood, But people are like, Amy, you can't work on that. I'm like, no, I want to finish this. Yeah. I can't just not do stuff, and I couldn't do much. But during that time was when the blizzard, we had like 2 different, I call it blizzard, 2 different snow events. And James was at work, and I'm like doing the farm chores, and I can barely walk. I mean, I was literally at some points crawling. But I will always think of that when I see the art, because I was enjoying working on it, and it was something to do, So
we're very appreciative.
That's your version of the blood, sweat, and tears.
Yeah,
huh?
but the sciatica just went away on its own. It's still there a little bit, but it was quite a journey. I had to have an MRI. What's the one where you get?
Were you getting the machine that clicks at you?
Was I in the MRI? I guess I was in the MRI, the tube where you. Oh gosh, that freaked me out. I was like 20 minutes in there.
Yeah.
I was like, the tube is right there,
yeah.
And I'm like, don't open your eyes, because if you open your eyes, you're gonna. So I was just like, refused to open my eyes. But anyway, after, I think it was a month and a half, I finally got into a neurologist. And by that time, the pain was gone. Mm-hmm. And he's like, sometimes your body just heals itself. Mm-hmm. And he said, you can go back to riding and doing what you normally do. I was like, yes. Because I thought they were going to say, But the first time I went to ride was recently, and my leg was so weak, I could barely, put your left foot in and swing over. Right. But anyway, that was a distraction from your question.
I'm okay with that.
I don't think AI will take the place of a lot of jobs, but I don't think it will take graphic designers' place. Mm-hmm. How could it not? Because graphic design requires you to be perfect. Now, the ideas will have to be there, I would hope, but who knows? A computer may be able to come up with a better idea than.
Well, I think about that with singers now. I'm like, in the 90s, those women could sing. Nowadays, it's kind of fabricated. It's like, well, I mean, she's a star, but is it really the level of Reba and, the women, Jodie Messina, the women that could really sing?
Yeah, and then there's no bands anymore. Mm-hmm. Like, remember y'all don't remember the 70s, but everyone had a band in the garage. And, I mean, think about the cool bands that came out of the 70s. Maybe there are bands now, but I just don't know them.
Well, and I think there's something to... With artistic stuff, to me, there's something to the imperfection. Mm-hmm. You when you sent me you sent me several versions of the sketches that was coming along, and you were telling me about your sciatica, and you were like, my lettering is not what I want it to be. I wish my lettering was more perfect. And I said, Amy, that's what I love about it. I truly meant that. It looked like somebody drew it. And it reminded me of, you watch like these old Westerns and they have the hand painted signs out in front of the stores. Mm-hmm. Or you watch, I know I've listened to some podcasts and seen some stuff. I love old rodeo pictures and stuff where like the clowns used to have their like car act and they would have the hand painted stuff on the side of their car, their truck. Had, hand painted on the side, so-and-so rodeo clown or something on these old Chevys.
Yeah.
And there's something to the imperfection of art.
I agree with that.
But, I feel like, too, I feel like there has been recently, and not just in art, but an awakening of people wanting stuff that's real. And stuff that's, I think that's why, you saw podcasts in the last election make a huge difference, because it wasn't this scripted 30-second news clip.
Heavily
edited. People sit down with, whatever podcaster for 3 hours and talk. You get the real deal of it. And I feel like that we went through a phase there for a while as technology became a thing, that some stuff, it almost like it wasn't real. And it was like, what are people doing? And you would see, you always see these like posts, and I'm sure you see them too. Like they had an art show in there, and somebody, taped a banana to the wall.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's their art.
Real.
That's.
One thing I noticed was some of the young people are starting to make photo albums again. Because for so long it's been, let me show you my pictures. Where to us, pictures were much more important, than been keeping your memories. I was actually looking for something the other day, and I couldn't find it, so I got on Facebook, because Facebook stores everything.
Forever, yeah.
And someone had shared a picture of the plates we made in kindergarten. All my friends from Nebraska, everyone still had their plate, and they're like, Amy, I bet your plate has a horse on it. I'm like, it does. It does. And I don't know where it is. So I was like trying to find it in my cabinets, but then I ended up scrolling down through thousands of pictures, and I found it on Facebook. But it's like that, I rely on Facebook to store my memories, and that's probably not a good idea, because what if the plug goes, or China blows up the internet or something, or Iran or whatever.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah, that's a whole other story. We better not go there.
But what to you? There's always the app, the whatever you can call it, the carrot on the end of the stick that you're chasing. What are you chasing with art?
Ooh, good question. It's definitely not the financial part of it, just because that is proven. Now, I do like to help, but like here lately, and part of it is because physically, painting has been a little harder for me, sitting for long hours, and I have carpal tunnel and stuff. I've started doing those mosaics, and they're not that big, so you're limited on what you can charge somebody. And James is like, Amy, you go to Hobby Lobby and drop $200 on beads and glue, and then you charge them $250. Then you have to ship it. I'm like, well, people can only afford so much, and I don't want to not be able to sell my art. So my thing, I think, is to be able to be remembered that my art made people feel a certain way or told a story in a different way. And somebody told me the other day that somebody who was encouraging me to enter Cowgirl Up was just telling me, we need a new, fresh story. So much of the stuff is just repeated, and, like traditional art is, how many cowboy scenes can we look at? The Remingtons and the Russells, and how many cowboys wearing a yellow slicker carrying a calf on their saddle horn with a mountain in the background. We need a different way of telling a story that's already been told a million times. But I like to have people be able to look at my art and see a little bit of themselves in it, or
and I think about like what we were discussing before we started was your nephew. this is a legacy that you're leaving behind for them to who you are eventually one day.
That's right. And I like to encourage young people with art. I like to encourage young people anyway with horses, or anyone that is interested in what I'm interested in, I'm willing to spend time with. And that usually ends up benefiting me as well. There's been, like Anna is one of the kids. She's probably, how old are y'all now?
I'll be 40 this year. Anna's a year older than I am, I think.
I think my oldest kids are in their middle 40s. I call them my kids that took lessons from me and have stayed, in my life. But, here in more recent years, I worked with the youth in church and taught Sunday school for several years. And some of those kids would come after church to the farm. And if they showed an interest, it was a little bit of a pain, because they can get trouble and do things wrong and leave gates open. But, one of the kids now, he's nearly 30, and he's my right-hand man. He's a Jackson County Sheriff's deputy, and he has 3 kids. And if I have a dead cow and James is at work, I call Zach, and the cow's not there when I go over there. You know what I mean? He's there when stuff really hits the fan for me. And it's because I spent that time with him. He didn't know one end of a cow from another. And now he'll run out and jump on one and pick it up. He'll run and jump on one and pick it up and carry it up to the barn. I've had him drive his truck alongside a calf, jump out of the truck door, grab the calf, put it in the truck, and then take it up. That kind of thing. He's natural at it. And so that investment that I've made in him, pays off for me now. It sounds selfish, but I think that's what reward I get with art and with the horse and cow stuff is influencing the younger generation, just because they don't get an opportunity as much to experience it, especially now. I mean, your kids obviously get that opportunity, but average kids don't at all,
That's what we just did a thing on women in ag, and that's what we were talking about is just how the younger generation and these kids today are so far removed from the dairy farms, from where our food comes from. They just think Amazon or Publix.
And they grow up in
And so,
subdivisions and play
right.
video games, and that's not part of their life. And it kind of like me. I mean, I didn't grow up in a subdivision, but I didn't have opportunity in Nebraska. I could see it. I mean, the big ranches and cattle everywhere in Nebraska, and I was inspired by it, but I didn't have opportunity. I didn't have somebody come say, hey, I will say that I had a friend, she's still one of my best friends. Her dad was an attorney, and he was handling a divorce, and he invited me to go with him out to the guy's place, and I didn't know why. But once we got out there, it was a huge quarter horse farm. And at the time, the guy was probably a famous halter horse person because these horses I'd never seen anything so beautiful. I was probably about 8, never seen the muscles and the shine, and they were all in the barn and everything was fancy. And the man actually put me up on his stallion. And I mean, his office walls were covered in those world championship trophies from the AQHA.
Well, and what it sounds like is what you've done for these kids is only what someone has done for you.
Right.
I mean, you've really paid it forward for people and that didn't have the opportunity. I mean, I think about like Wayne Dutton does the junior livestock in Madison, and man, if they didn't have that, what opportunity would these young kids have if they weren't exposed like for us? Like we're in it every day, but most kids aren't.
That's right. And I think like James has told me before, because I help him a lot. He's a rodeo person growing up and bull rider. And so he doesn't have the greatest horsemanship always. Like he doesn't really what lead am I on type stuff. But he told me that he thought I was a good teacher. And I told him the reason why is because I remember what it was like to not know how, right. And also to want to, and not feel like I fit in. Like I don't belong. Like if I had known y'all when I was y'all's age, I thought y'all were just the coolest people ever, and I'd wanted to be you.
That's how we feel about you.
You can make it happen, and it may take a longer road or a different road, but whatever your dream is, I really do think you can do it if you have the determination.
Well, I think there's a little bit of a renaissance of sorts too on some of that, because I know Courtney has a similar experience, but even like with our real estate, we're seeing the age of the mini farm, the people that like the 5 and 10 acres and want to have a place where they have chickens in their yard and have their kids and be a little more, and I think COVID actually, that's maybe one of the good things that came out of COVID. But some people realized that, they had all the supply stuff. And so
everybody got a goat.
Yeah, everybody was worried. I told this the other day on another one, and I mean, we'll tell it again today. I guess it's a recurring thing, but they have reduced the number of turkeys you can harvest in a year during turkey season, because during COVID, so many people went turkey hunting.
Oh, really?
Decimated the herd. They hurt the population. And, I think some people kind of woke up to some of that. And now we still see plenty of it. And I'll tell you this, but back to kind of the whole thing about your art and what it inspired. I've never opened your Facebook page and shown somebody never mind 4 or 5 of your artworks and them not go, holy cow. I mean, just you see it just like, it's not just like, oh, yeah, okay. Never that response.
Right. Well, thank you.
It's always.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. Holy cow.
Detail.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
And it's so, your art's so unique. The colorfulness of it. That's why I greedily. I liked the darker. What you have to tell me again? What you call it? Our logo.
Oh, the pencil one? The sepia.
Sepia.
Yeah.
I love the sepia of ours because it's your art and you can see the Amy Watts detail and that it took but it's different than a lot of your art because your art is usually so bright and so vivid, and so I feel like ours. I feel like, and maybe like I said selfishly, and I'm not going to go look through your entire gallery because you probably have another one. But I feel like ours is a little different than some typical.
Oh, absolutely. But
so,
in my younger days, I did a lot more
unique,
illustrative stuff, though. Like because I was trying to make a living, like the lawnmowers in the car with the wheels.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I was more careful with my art, like. That I had to be careful, I had to think about like the lettering being, like I said, I didn't use a computer at all, which most people would take the typography and do it on a computer.
Cast it on there.
And move it around. Like my sister knows how to do all that stuff, but I did it by hand, so I was a little like, erase, oh no, that's not big enough, that doesn't look right, it's not centered. So I appreciate that, but it's definitely not perfect, and that's what you wanted. So
now, something that I think gets overlooked about you, I think your writing is really good too.
Well, thank you.
Your posts are more than your typical. And I don't post a lot on social media, so I'm not a very
most
good
people
one to judge
don't.
But most people are observers, not posters.
Yes,
yeah.
thank you.
And you post a lot of but it's always. I don't know how to say this. Your posts are always. They have a story to them. It's artistic. It's almost like if you were reading a book.
Yeah, it's kind of like a blog.
You put the book in Facebook.
It's like a blog,
Fair,
I think.
yeah.
And I wish more people used it for that instead of trying to make people angry and, But I do use it to my advantage because I have people all over the world that think they know me and they don't. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I definitely, there's this one woman from India and she's she does fabric art, but she does a lot of embroidery and it's just amazing. But I feel like I know her. Mm-hmm. She's from India, and she and I will talk back and forth and I'll share things that I've seen that remind me of her. And I'm like, my gosh, I will never meet her, but I feel like I know her. So I wish people used it more for that.
I think I messaged you. We sold Amy and James a horse one time.
Oh,
and he's probably one of my more favorite horses I ever owned. We bought him I could tell you the whole story of Iceman, but
he was from the Pitzer Blood, which is the Nebraska ranch.
Right. And so I got Iceman and bought him from Casey Hilly, who you were talking about Tommy earlier. We had lost 3 horses in a year. I mean, just one of those comes
Bad
in threes
year.
things.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I had one had an aneurysm. I had one colic and die, and I had one kick through a fence and cut his leg off. And so I was down in the dumps about horses, and at that high school age, and my dad said, "Well, go find you a horse you want." And my dad always had horses, made a living with horses, rodeo, all these things, caught cows, but they were a tool. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And he would, and if it was a tool and it had to cost the right thing and do the right thing, and we go make them. But he said, "Go find you," because he knew it was just kind of like, I guess he could see it all over my face. I was ready to give up.
Yeah.
And we bought Iceman.
Behold the Iceman.
Behold the Iceman, and Iceman. From the time I bought Iceman till the time he grew to what he was, he grew a pile. He was a large horse.
He was a very big horse. He fit James really well.
He probably weighed 1,300 pounds.
Yeah.
1300. I mean, he's a big horse. But you could do anything on Iceman. You put all the kids on him. You put anybody want to learn how to rope.
Special.
Lauren learned how to team rope on him. Jerry learned how to rope on him. And Jerry was going to college, and we kind of had a pile of horses at the time, and he had kind of become Jerry's horse. And she needed money for college, and so we sold him, and Amy and James bought him.
And we had him, I don't know how many years we had him, but we used the hair off of him. And then somebody approached us, and they said, "Do you have any horses that would be a family horse?"
Unicorns.
He's going to be spoiled. He's going to have, I don't know how many acres of grass. He's going to belong to 2 little girls. And James and I thought, they're talking about Iceman. And, the saying, every horse deserves at one point in their life to belong to a little girl. I thought if any horse deserves that, it's Iceman. And he did. His last years was spoiled rotten and was just that family's first horse.
But to bring it full circle, Amy, when Iceman passed away after they had owned him for quite some time, he was probably in his 20s.
Oh, yeah.
He was older. Amy wrote, I guess we would call it a eulogy.
Yeah, that's right. I did.
For Iceman. And I read it, and of course I had emotions or whatever about it. And I really don't get that way. I'm kind of like my dad. I don't get that way about horses, but I did about that one because you're right. And I texted Amy. I said, "Look, if I die before you do, I don't care if it's in my will or not. Amy Watts is to, if nothing else on Facebook, is to write my eulogy because she did so well. So.
Well, thank you. Did you read the one I wrote about Skillet?
I did, yeah.
Skillet was, whoo.
That was your horse that
tough.
you, yeah.
Boy, he was, woo. He was a special, he was like Iceman. Anybody could ride him. He made everybody look good. Take him to the church for a Halloween parade or shoot a cannon off of him. But he didn't really love attention. He was kind of standoffish, but he was just I'll never have a horse like him. He didn't have any papers, but he was the
we
one.
Were so everybody fortunate. Has the one. He was your one, huh?
We had Skillet and Iceman at the same time for a lot of years, and I mean, people just really enjoyed our horses during that time. I'd take all my friends to the cow patty to ride, and everybody looked good. Nobody was scared, And now my friends come and I'm like, okay, get the ace out.
but I guess to bring it all full circle, your writing and your eulogies you've done for some horses and the things, is that something you've ever considered pursuing, like a book of sorts?
I have, but like a book to sit down and write that many pages, I don't know that I have that in me. Now, like I short stories, and if somebody asks me to write something, about somebody, or I'll do that all day long. My dad is a really good writer. He's grew up in small town Arkansas, son of a miner, and his stories are hilarious and they're emotional. And he'll talk about his great grandmother. He has a story where she's brushing her long white hair, and it's just like, it just brings you to tears.
See, I think this is how my artistic brain works. And you can take this or leave this, and you may have already thought of it. I think if you took your paintings tell such a story. I think if you took your paint, like you said, short stories, if you took your paintings and did a little short story that was, even if it was, fictional, which obviously most of them, I mean, I'm sure all of your paintings have a somewhat real.
All my paintings and my stories are true. I don't write.
But even if it was fictional short stories about what's actually going on in the painting and then those paintings in a book, there would be one on every desk of everybody I know.
Okay, well, people have mentioned that to me before, and I do. But, I'm terrible at making money. I'm terrible at that. James always says I always try to, sabotage my money-making effort somehow by making it,
Well, our theory here, and I think Courtney has the same theory, we've talked about this before, is if you take care of people and do right by people, money works itself out.
That's true, and God always provides. I know that. I mean, we've had some stressful times in our recent years where, James got laid off or was, injured, or, we've had surgeries and things like that, and something always comes through. Just like recently, James got laid off from in North Dakota, and we took some cows to Athens, and I mean, with the amount we got for the cows, and our tax return was exactly the amount of his paycheck for the month. It was like, wow, that's God right there. Absolutely.
I love that. Well, that's what Miss Iris talks about too, is when you're in the will of God, that he can work everything out.
He always provides, but he doesn't want you to just sit around and wait. He wants you to be proactive.
I say we're not sitting in the nest waiting on the worm. Like we go after it.
That's right.
But
that's right. We're looking for opportunity.
Know where it's provided
and
from.
We're answering when he knocks.
Absolutely.
Well, with James in the oil field business, that's kind of a volatile. It can be, and it's probably, I'd say right now, there's all kinds of unknowns with the oil prices changing.
Well, the prices are through the roof. So, but the thing is, when they're through the roof, they'll crash, and then, that's when every man for himself. There's no loyalty. There's no, it's not like you're going to get your retirement from the oil field. Get your bag. I mean, they might even tell you to get your bag while you're home, and then you have to go back up and get your bag. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They don't have a whole lot of sympathy for you. I hate to say that, but because it's been a good provider. Like James said, where else can a man with an 8th grade education make 6 figures? So, and he doesn't like oil field life, but he's like, this is what I chose, and this is what I know.
Mm-hmm. And where is he working at?
Right now he's working in Carlsbad, New Mexico, which is where, he's from New Mexico, so that's kind of neat. But it's near Midland, so, it's the Permian Basin, which he's working for Exxon right now.
That was
Which-
a football movie, wasn't it? Friday Night Lights, Midland. And
Was it in Midland? I saw that
I
movie,
think
but I don't
so.
remember
Yeah,
where it was.
I feel like that
What's
was a
James's
movie.
take on Landman? Has he watched any
He's
Landman?
never watched it.
Really?
That's
Yeah.
funny because people are always like, Amy, you need to watch Yellowstone. You need to watch it. I'm like, I don't have Paramount or whatever that is. I'm not going to get another streaming service.
Mm-hmm.
And now people are like, you need to watch Landman. I'm like, I don't have. It's the same,
Yeah.
the same dude, isn't it? Makes,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But people have been telling us how good it is. I'm sure it is.
I think it. I mean, it is, but I'm just like a little less cussing like that.
Well, there's a lot of cussing,
The
though.
more it goes, it just gets thicker, and I'm like, is that necessary? So,
Well,
but that's
I don't know because I haven't seen it. Is he talking to the people he works with? Because that's real if he's talking to the people he works with.
Yeah.
Well,
they're
it's
just-
all acting. I mean, it's
Yeah, it's
all.
all-
It's
Well,
all
you know what I
drama.
mean? When they're at work, there's no filter. And,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's not.
I mean, you'll have
it's
to
not-
watch it and compare, see what
And
you think.
James does well when he comes home. He cleans up, especially when he's around, other people. But, sometimes he'll say something. Oh,
The,
it's
the
like-
locker room talk.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's funny, but it's a rhythm of life. And when he's home, he's home. I mean, he doesn't have to worry about anything. So we enjoy. And also, you have 50% of your time off.
Oh, really?
You're working half the year and you're home half the year. So that's how we
Nice.
look at it. Mm-hmm. We like it. So we'll see how many more years he has in him.
Yeah. Well, guys, I've enjoyed it.
Yes, thank you.
Did I
Amy,
do okay?
You did so incredibly more
I didn't let
than
you
okay.
get a word in.
That's exactly how we want
Excellent.
it.
Okay,
we,
good.
We,
We wanna
we,
hear
we,
from-
hear ourselves all the time. We want to hear you.
Okay, well.
So, but Amy,
Try and edit the visual.
No, it's perfect.
Filter.
Thank you so much, Amy.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody, for listening. We're here at the Iris Inc Studio in Crawford, Georgia. Beautiful
What's it called?
downtown. The Iris Inc Studio.
Iris Inc.
Iris Inc Realty Studio.
Okay, got it.
In beautiful Crawford, Georgia. Amy's first trip to Crawford.
I've never been to Crawford. I'm going to get me some pizza after.
There you go. So thank you so much, and just thanks for coming. Come back again.
Absolutely.
Let's find some more topics and
Let's
bring you
do
back
it.
again.